What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Danielle Smith has been doing a bang-up job as of late, looking into Canada's future, defending Canada, while she's been labeled as someone who's not exactly playing fair with Team Canada, which is a good thing. Danielle Smith has actually been trying to find diplomacy in the ongoing tariff situation between Canada and the United States. Of course, saying that we need to come to the table, we need to talk. She's made it very clear on multiple occasions that she does not trust the federal government, that Alberta's trust is gone when it comes to future policy or their promise to supposedly open up pipelines and oil moving forward with Mark Carney. Keep in mind, Mark Carney, as he is now Justin Trudeau's replacement, coming in to state that he's interested in essentially lowering the carbon tax to zero, not eliminating it, but lowering it to zero, while he finds another place to push it on to Canadians, but also has said that he's interested in the development of oil and gas throughout Canada. And while Danielle Smith recently signed a large deal with Japan for oil and gas and is still trying to find outside trading partners alongside the U.S. to promote Alberta's economy, Mark Carney, again, and it's going to be interesting to see as things move forward, has a vested interest in oil and gas through multiple companies, through Brookfield, one of the companies which he sits, and we still don't know if he sits on the board of, because again, he shouldn't, but he won't disclose that information to Canadians. Let's take a look at what Danielle Smith had to say, because I think this is very important when questioned about Mark Carney. The Trudeau-Carney Liberals have overseen the most anti-Alberta government in our province's history. It's not really close. We need an immediate election to sort this out, she says. The way she answers this question when talking about Mark Carney paints a really bold picture as to where Danielle stands moving forward. Much like the rest of us, she's demanding an election now.
Aaron Collins from CBC National News. Thanks for taking my question, Premier. I want to turn back to the announcement of the federal cabinet. Mark Carney has pushed Stephen Guilbeault out of the environment file, said he's going to get rid of the consumer carbon tax, but he still doesn't have any ministers, or only two ministers west of Ontario. I'm just curious what your sense is on what this says about his attempts to sort of reach out to Western Canada to make bridges to voters here and to this region.
Well, look, we had a problem in Parks Canada with them not clearing away forested areas, which has resulted in a wreck in Waterton, a wreck in Jasper, and we hope we don't have a wreck in Banff.
So I want to touch on that really quickly, because keep in mind, while Danielle has been facing tons of scrutiny saying, why isn't the Alberta provincial government helping out with funds when it comes to Jasper, when it comes to the rebuilding of Jasper? Well, the federal government is actually, it's their jurisdiction, and they have blocked a lot of the money coming out of Alberta. In fact, they've told Alberta they're not allowed to give their money to those that are in need. They're not allowed to break ground on the building that has to happen in order to rebuild the town for those who have lost everything. The federal government was warned for ages that what happened in, I almost said Banff, what happened in Jasper was a tinderbox, that we should have sorted this out years ago. Of course, the Liberals ignored it while talking about climate change, while talking about a carbon tax. Danielle just wants to rebuild the town. She just wants to get on with things. To answer the journalist question saying that, are you shocked that Carney isn't doing more to build bridges and reach out to Western Canadian voters? He doesn't have to. We've talked about this to great extent on our live streams, that essentially what Mark Carney has to focus on is the majority seats that sit in southern Ontario and eastern Quebec. If he gets those seats, he's guaranteed another 4-year mandate, whether it's minority or majority. We all know jagmeet singh will sell out anybody for $1. He doesn't need to worry about Western Canada. Let's continue.
So it's certainly not going to be, it's going to be soft comfort for everyone to see that Monsieur Guilbeault still maintains a position in Parks Canada. We've got a lot of work to do. We're about to enter into fire season, and I would hope that we would be able to move very quickly on securing those towns so that they don't face a fire threat. So that would be one thing I'd say. I think that the Prime Minister has made his views very clear about keeping oil and gas in the ground. He's made his views very clear about he not wanting a transparent carbon tax. He wants a hidden one. So I don't think it does Alberta any good if we end up seeing massive increases to industrial carbon taxes. It's been quoted many times saying he thinks that the carbon tax is too low. So I'm going to just reserve judgment. I had a whole range of things that are problematic with the federal government, from emissions caps to tanker bans off the West Coast, the inability to approve pipelines, getting approvals and then having them pulled, having a convoluted regulatory process that makes it impossible to get new pipelines built, continued threats of regulating our power grid, continued threats of regulating our industry, continued threats of export taxes, cutting off energy. I haven't really seen any change that would lead me to be encouraged that we're going to have a reset on our relationship. So we need an election, and that's how it needs to get sorted out.
Absolutely nails it on the head there. We need an election. If Mark Carney is so convinced that Canadians want him to represent us moving forward with a 4-year mandate, call an election. It's that simple. What's really funny is Stephen Guilbeault, who was kicked to the curb and fired. I shouldn't say it totally because he's now a minister in Quebec. Stephen now confirms the consumer carbon tax has been reduced to 0. This happened just before the weekend. This is the same effing loser who has been gaslighting us on the carbon tax for years. Guilbeault is a commie. Well, yeah. But here's the funny thing. If you haven't seen Stephen Guilbeault in a while, I think he took over Nakatomi Plaza on Christmas Eve. I know that's a terrible Alan Rickman joke. But let's take a look at just how, keep in mind, this is the guy who said the world was going to burn like a lunatic if we got rid of the carbon tax. But much to Danielle's statement that Mark Carney has simply reduced it and he's going to push it onto consumers another way. Look at the way Stephen Guilbeault tries to flounder around explaining it.
Prime Minister Carney can actually just get rid of the carbon tax like this.
Well, basically, following a decision by cabinet, the price, the consumer price on pollution will be brought down to 0. So it's a regulatory measure to bring the price to 0.
So essentially, it's not a removal of it; it's just lowering the price of it.
It's bringing it to 0.
So it's not a removal, they say. It's bringing it to 0. This is funny how they just can't say, nah, we didn't cancel or axe the tax like Pierre wants to do. We're just moving the goalposts down to 0 for now to pucker up and kiss everybody's butt so that they give us another 4 years to twist the knife into their back a little bit deeper and bleed their accounts dry while they lose their jobs, can't afford their homes, can't afford to eat. And ultimately we pad our pockets. That's what the Liberals want. This is all by design, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, I applaud Danielle Smith for coming out and saying it like it is. Again, looking forward to seeing what Danielle brings ahead as Mark Carney maybe gets back from partying with his friends in Davos. It's clear that Danielle is not going to bend the knee to Mark Carney. She's not going to bend the knee to the Liberals anytime moving forward. She still has Alberta and Alberta's interests at heart. And again, I applaud the amazing job I personally feel she's doing. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think Danielle's going to stick it to Mark Carney? Do you think she's going to keep her guard up? Or do you think at some point in time, Danielle's going to go the path that everybody in the nasty section of the comments always says that she will? Leave me your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. While you're at it, make sure you hit that button real hard and become a member of our large Fringe majority here on the channel. It's free, it helps the channel, and we appreciate adding you to our already amazing community here on the YouTube platform. Make sure you click your bell. Geez, I'm out of it today. Click your bell for notifications. Join me live on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show, where I'm joined by my very beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, as we go over everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as back and forth within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I look forward to hearing what you have to say each and every Friday night, but most importantly, this Friday night starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gents, I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you on the next one.